You stand in the presence of Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, rightful Queen of the Andals and the First Men, protector of the Seven Kingdoms, the Mother of Dragons, the Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, the Unburnt, the Breaker of Chains.
This is Jon Snow.
What is it that makes a great hero? We've seen so many examples in all forms of media, but the exact recipe for success has never been clear. Especially for someone like myself that's usually much more of a fan of villains, very rarely does the hero or the main protagonist appeal to me. Many are far too overpowered and flawless, leaving no room for suspense in their scenes or growth in their character, while others, while still well written, lack a certain ingredient to really get attached to them. It's hard to determine what the key is, but I think the most important factor would have to be empathy. To truly get inside this character's head and provide the details we need, take the time to show what drives them, to see what flaws they have as a character, and have a clear understanding of what they value and why their journey is worth watching. The relatability, the believability, and growth are all essential if you want a character that will inspire people to get invested in them. And if I had to pick one character that fits this criteria best, it would have to be Jon Snow. A character I did not like, recognize, or even care about in the first season that somehow evolved to be one of the best characters on TV. He went from being the annoying kid with the curly hair in the first season to the main protagonist of the show, and they took the time to make me care. This man carried the northern plot of this show on his back for 8 seasons. We watched him rise up through the ranks and work his way from servant to commander to king. He was one of the most consistent and well-written characters in the show. And then they decided to turn a man who has been a courageous, selfless leader into a worthless coward, a pathetic parody of his former self. Stripped of all his traits that made him who he was, plotlines that were built up for him season after season amounted to nothing. His entire story, all of his goals, and everything he went through was for nothing. A complete character assassination, something that has unfortunately become all too common these days, and it's a big part of the reason my channel exists. I want to explain in detail how they humiliated this character. If you have never seen Game of Thrones, I will be providing enough detail for you to follow along, so as long as you understand character writing and consistency, you should be fine. Season 8 of Game of Thrones was a tragedy of lazy writing. The most rushed, sorry excuse for a final season I have ever seen. They ruined the core themes of this show. They left the plot in pieces, and fundamentally ruined all of the main characters. I could make a series of videos on all of them, but none of them hit harder than what they did to Jon. Now I know that sounds really harsh, but that's my claim. Now allow me to provide the evidence as thoroughly as I can. From the moment the character is introduced, they establish a distance between him and the rest of the family and the situation he was unfortunately born into.
Go on. Father's watching. And your mother.
Growing up in a castle as the bastard son of a powerful, respected lord, never truly being acknowledged as a Stark, despised by his stepmother and even given the surname Snow, to ensure that everyone understands what he is, a bastard from the north, with no birthright and nothing to inherit.
Wanted to see the wall?
You're Tyrion Lannister. The Queen's brother?
My greatest accomplishment. And you're Ned Stark's bastard, aren't you? Did I offend you? Sorry. Let me give you some advice, bastard. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you.
Fed up with this situation and desperate to make something out of his life, he makes the decision to join the Night's Watch, a military order which guards a giant wall to keep the wildlings and the White Walkers from crossing into the Seven Kingdoms. a respected faction and the only chance for Jon to find any kind of glory. His one question to his father before heading to commit his life to the Night's Watch was simply,
Is my mother alive? Does she know about me, where I am, where I'm going? Does she care?
The next time we see each other, we'll talk about your mother.
Jon's father, Ned Stark, fathered a child during a war campaign which resulted in Jon, but he never spoke about his mother, not even in private with his best friend. Upon arriving at Castle Black, Jon is devastated to find out that not only is the Night's Watch nothing close to the military order described, but mostly untrained boys, criminals, outcasts, and bastards, all shipped away for different reasons.
Raper, horse thief, ninth-born son. Raper, thief, thief and raper.
It becomes clear to him that he was sent here to waste away with the rest of them. And after being forced to understand his position as the only one who was raised in the castle or even trained to fight, he decides to instead share his knowledge and embrace his brothers. This was the first time we got some insight into Jon's true nature. A man of the people, as he put aside his feelings for the situation he was in and became a leader amongst his brothers, helping to train them to fight.
Left foot forward. Good. Now pivot as you deliver the stroke, with all your weight behind it. What in seven hells is that?
They'll need an eighth to fit him in.
Tell them your name.
Samuel Tarley. I was of Hornhill. I've come to take the black.
Come to take the black pudding? Well, you couldn't be any worse than you look. Seems they've run short of poachers and thieves down south. Now they send us squealing bloody pigs. Again, harder. He yielded. Looks like the bastard's in love.
Sam's no different from the rest of us. There's no place for him in the world, so he's come here. We're not going to hurt him in the training yard anymore. Never again, no matter what Thorne says. He's our brother now, and we're going to protect him.
You are in love, Lord Snow. You girls can do as you please. But if Thorne puts me up against Lady Piggy, I'm gonna slice me off a side of bacon.
No one touches Sam.
In a scene where he confides in his best friend Sam, Jon reveals he has never been with a woman. The reason being he's afraid to pass on the surname Snow, providing even more amazing insight into this character and how much he wants to find some kind of meaning out of his life. Which is also part of the reason he was so devastated to find out that he was chosen from his Lord Commander to be his personal steward, and he would not get a chance to be a ranger like his uncle and go where the action is. Jon essentially went from being a soldier to an assistant, and he had no choice in the matter, like most things in his life. And after saving him from a walker, Jon earns the trust and admiration of his Lord Commander and even receives a sword from him. His resolve is tested even further upon finding out that his father has been arrested for high treason, and his brother is gathering an army to go to war. We get a clear understanding for how much he considers them family and how frustrated he is to be stuck here, unable to help. He finally snaps after his father is executed and Jon attempts to abandon the Night's Watch in order to help them, only to be stopped and convinced to stay by his new family. Giora explains how much Jon is needed here, and all the wars and the drama of the realm is completely meaningless compared to the threat that they face.
Bring me some beer at least. You look exhausted. Was your moonlight ride that tiring? Honor made you leave. Honor brought you back.
My friends brought me back.
I didn't say it was your honor.
They killed my
Oh,
father.
and you're gonna bring him back to life, are you? No? Good. Do you think your brother's war is more important than ours?
No.
When dead men, and worse, come hunting for us in the night, do you think it matters who sits on the Iron Throne?
No.
Good. because I want you and your wolf with us when we ride out beyond the wall tomorrow. So I'll only ask you once, Lord Snow. Are you a brother of the Night's Watch, or a bastard boy who wants to play at war?
Jon and his brothers travel out beyond the wall and seek shelter at Craster's Keep, a disgusting old man who marries his daughters and keeps them as servants, and it's Jon who discovers he sacrifices his newborn sons to the White Walkers. Another example of Jon, despite the risks, trying to do the right thing. And when they travel deeper into the north, he volunteers to join the scouting party to hunt down the wildlings. After ambushing a group of hunters and establishing they don't have enough supplies to keep a prisoner, he is forced to make the second difficult choice of the series.
Do it. Bastard! Do it!
We see him hesitate, resulting in her escape and ultimately in Jon's capture after attempting to get her back. Despite all his best efforts, Jon is still just a boy.
How old are you, boy?
I'm a man of the Night's Watch.
You're a boy who's never been with a girl. There no girl crows?
There are no women of the Night's Watch, no.
So the lads just do it with each other?
No,
Never?
never. We swore an oath.
And you have sheep at the wall? With your hands, then. No wonder you're all so miserable.
Would you please shut up?
Would you please shut up? You think you're better than me, Crow. I'm a free woman.
You're a free woman.
But I might be your prisoner, but I'm a free woman.
If you're my prisoner, you're not a free woman. That's what prisoner means.
And you think you're free? You swore some stupid oath, and now you can never touch a girl.
It was my choice to say the words.
So you don't like girls?
Of course I like girls.
But you chose never to touch them.
That's the price you pay if you want to be a man of the Night's Watch.
So instead of getting naked with a girl, you'd prefer to invade our land?
Invade your land? Wildlings raid our lands all the time. Some of them try to kill my little brother, a crippled boy.
They're not your lands. We've been here the whole time. You lot came along and just put up a big wall and said it was yours.
My father was Ned Stark. I have the blood of the first men. My ancestors lived here, same as yours.
So why are you fighting us?
The other brothers are killed trying to save him, and the leader of the scouting party instructs Jon to get inside their army and become a spy for the Night's Watch. He even sacrifices himself to ensure they are convinced.
Never swung a sword before, have you? You look like a baby with a rattle.
Enough of that!
Let him fight! Your traitor father teach you that? Or was it your whore mother?
We are the Watchers on the wall.
Jon manages to convince the leader of the wildlings that he wants to join them, after discovering that the Night's Watch supports Craster's methods.
What's your name, boy? Jon Snow. Your Grace. Your Grace?
Did you hear that? From now on, you'd better kneel every time I fart.
Stand, boy. We don't kneel for anyone
beyond the wall. You saw one of them. And why would that make you desert your brothers?
Because when I told the Lord Commander, he already knew. I want to fight for the side that fights for the living. Did I come to the right place?
We see him become one of the free folk, experience their way of life, escaping the rules of the Night's Watch and receiving the love of a woman for the first time in his life. He rids himself of the bastard and steward titles and sees what it's like to be a free man. And even with all this, when he's forced to make the choice between doing nothing and protecting the innocent, he throws away his newfound freedom in order to make the right choice.
Come on, boy! Come on!
Get him!
He's one of them!
Egret, you know I didn't have a choice. You always knew who I was. What I am. I have to go home now. I know you won't hurt me.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I do know some things. I know I love you.
After returning to Castle Black, he is summoned to the council to explain his treason.
While we sit here, debating which rules I broke, Mance Raider marches on the wall with an army of 100,000.
Impossible. You can't get 50 wildlings together before they start killing each other.
100,000. He's united the Thens, the Hornfoots, the Ice River clans, the Es Giants fighting for him.
Giants.
Have you ever been beyond the wall, sir?
I commanded the city watch of King's Landing, boy.
And now you're here. You must not have been very good at your job. How dare you! There's a band of wildlings south of the wall already. Led by Tormund Giantsbane. I killed their warg and 3 others. They shot me full of arrows. The orders are to attack Castle Black from the south when Mance hits it from the north. The signal for the attack will be a bonfire. Mance said it would be the greatest fire the north has ever seen. That's the truth. All the truth. Do you intend to execute me, or am I free to go?
He convinces them to see the bigger picture and avoid punishment, but that doesn't stop them from plotting against him.
You are a bastard. A daughter fucking wildling bastard.
Curses for this! By all the
There are no laws beyond the wall. Now show us where he hides his food, or you'll get the same as he did.
On hand, I shall have your head.
They give him permission to lead a group of men back to Craster's Keep in order to prevent the information about their true numbers from getting out. In a clever trick to protect his brothers, Jon told the wildlings that they had 1,000 men at Castle Black, when they barely have 100. They refuse to order other men. Instead, they insist volunteers only, ensuring Jon won't have the numbers to survive the mission. But their plan fails because he has become a leader in their eyes and they're willing to fight by his side.
Lord Snow, you're bringing me back for trial. We had a good thing here. We were free men. You'll never be free. You'll never know what that's like. You learn how to fight in the castle. Some old man teach you how to stand, how to parry, how to fight with honor. You know what's wrong with honor?
Jon leads the attack on Crasser's Keep and kills the leader of the mutineers in 1v1 combat, and frees his daughters from this nightmare. Upon returning to Castle Black, he claims they could see the wildling camps, and they'll be here before the next full moon and need to prepare.
Let me guess. Potatoes. Well, no one boils a potato better than your mum. She got...
Hide! Hide!
Those your parents? Open your eyes. I'm going to eat them. Do you hear me? I'm going to eat your dead mama, and I'm going to eat your dead papa. Go tell the crows at Castle Black.
He suggests sealing the tunnel, only to have his idea shut down due to pride and ignorance of his commanders, who see it as hiding and don't want to take advice from him.
This castle has stood for thousands of years. The Night's Watch has defended her for thousands of years. And in all those centuries, we have never sealed the tunnel.
Have you ever seen a giant, Sir Alistair? I have. The tunnel's gate won't stop them.
The bars on those gates are 4 inches thick, cold-rolled steel.
And they won't stop them.
It's not until the enemy is literally at their gates that Alistair Thorne, Jon's biggest rival, admits he was wrong. But he proves his worth as a commander and redeems himself, rallying the men to fight in one of the greatest motivational speeches of all time.
Brothers! 100 generations have defended this castle. She's never fallen before. She will not fall tonight. Those are thins on our walls. They eat the flesh of the men they kill. Do you want to fill the belly of a thin tonight? Tonight we fight. And when the sun rises, I promise you, Castle Black will stand. The Night's Watch will stand. With me now!
When he's injured in battle, it's Jon who takes over command. And in one of the single greatest episodes of television, he leads his brothers against a wildling siege.
Light them up!
Mother, save me. Father, save me.
The gods aren't down here. It's the six of us, you hear me?
No, please.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die by my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realms of men. I place my life and honor in the night's watch. For this night and all the nights to come.
We need you, boy.
No. Don't talk. You remember that cave? We should have stayed in that cave.
We'll go back there.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Ygritte is killed by the same little boy that Jon has been protecting from the wildlings. Jon's choice to do the right thing essentially cost him the love of his life, one of his many, many sacrifices. They hold off the wildlings' first wave and count their dead. Knowing they would never survive a second assault, Jon makes the ultimate sacrifice and heads out unarmed to the wildling camp to speak to them directly.
You're wearing a black cloak again.
I've been sent to negotiate with you.
Fought hard, killed some of our strongest men. One of our giants went into your tunnel and never came out again. Mag the Mighty.
He's dead. He killed my friend Gren.
He was their king, the last of a bloodline that stretches back before the first men.
Gren came from a farm.
Mag and Gren.
Gren and Mag.
My people have bled enough. We're not here to conquer. We're here to hide behind your wall. Just like you. We need your tunnel. And we both know that winter is coming. And if my people aren't south of the wall when it comes in earnest, we'll all end up worse than dead. You want to strike a bargain with me? Here's the bargain. You go back, you open the gates to us, and I swear to you that no one else will die. Refuse, and we'll kill every last man in Castle Black. Ah. Oh, that's why you're here. I reckon you could do it before any of them could stop you. They'd kill you, of course. They'd kill you slow, but you knew that when you came in here. Are you capable of that, Jon Snow? Killing a man in his own tent when he's just offered you peace? Is that what the Night's Watch is? Is that what you are?
You're attacking us! No. It's like you said, we don't have the men.
He is saved by Stannis' army, the younger brother of Robert and one of the many people currently trying to claim the throne. The wildlings are surrounded and captured. We see him speak to Tormund in chains.
So how do we die? Hanging? Beheading? Drop us from the top of the wall?
I don't know what happens to the prisoners.
Who decides?
I suppose Stannis does.
You're king now.
I don't have a king.
You spend too much time with us, Jon Snow. You can never be an healer again. Snow. Did you love her? She loved you.
She told you?
No. All she ever talked about was killing you. That's how I know. She belongs in the north. The real north. You understand me?
He manages to convince Jon to give her a proper burial, a decision that only furthers people's distrust of him. Stannis informs Jon that Mance Rayder, the wildling leader, will be burned alive unless Jon can convince him to bend the knee.
How will they do it? Beheading? Hanging?
They'll burn you alive.
Bad way to go. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to die and burnt to death. I don't want people to remember me like that, scorched and screaming. But it's better than betraying everything I believe.
Mance's pride won't allow him to kneel, and he chooses death. We watch him burn until we can see the very moment he regrets his decision. Until Jon spares him, defying Stannis' order and putting an arrow through his heart. Just one more case of Jon putting his morals before his safety. Another moment of cementing just who this man is. Stannis scolds him but commends his bravery, and asks him to bend the knee, and he will make him Jon Stark, Lord of Winterfell, something that Jon has wanted since he was a child. And he turns him down, deciding to stay true to his vows and stay with his brothers, because Jon is not a kneeler. Against all the odds, his quality as a leader has become too hard to deny.
Whilst Lord Janos was hiding with the women and children, Jon Snow was leading. Sir Alistair fought bravely, it is true. And when he was wounded, it was Jon who saved us. He took charge of the wall's defense. He killed the Magna of the Thanes. He went north to deal with Mance Rayder, knowing it almost certainly meant his own death. Before that, he led the mission to avenge Lord Commander Mormont. Mormont himself chose Jon to be his steward. He saw something in Jon, and now we've all seen it too. He may be young, but he's the commander we turned to when the night was darkest.
In his first meeting as Lord Commander, Jon establishes his growth as a character in one of his best scenes.
I will not go meekly off to freeze and die. Give it to one of the fools who cast a stone for you. I will not have it. Did you hear me, boy? I will not have it!
Are you refusing to obey my order?
You can stick your order up your bastard ass.
Take Lord Janos outside. Ollie, bring me my sword.
I was wrong. You're the Lord Commander. We all serve you. I'm sorry, not only for this, for all I've done and said. I was wrong. My lord, please, mercy. Mercy. I'll go, I will. Please. I'm afraid. I've always been afraid.
This was the moment I started to really love this character. Ygritte made a man out of him. He comes to the conclusion that they need to make peace with the wildlings if they're ever going to survive the army of the dead. A decision that will destroy his reputation, but it needs to be done. He convinces Tormund to lead him to Hardhome, to convince the rest of the wildlings to come back with them. They are greeted with hostility and threats from the very beginning.
I don't fight for the crows.
We're not here to fight. We're here to talk.
Is that right? You and the Pretty Crow do a lot of talking, Tormund. And when you're done talking, do you get down on your knees and suck his cock?
Gather the elders, and let's talk.
And Jon has to reach out to the most primitive of needs to make them understand that it's bigger than the war between the two factions. It's about the children and the future generations. It's about the living versus the dead.
I lost my father, my uncle, and 2 brothers fighting the damn crows.
I'm not asking you to forget your dead. I'll never forget mine.
I lost 50 brothers the night that Mance attacked the wall. But I'm asking you to think about your children now. They'll never have children of their own if we don't band together. The long night is coming, and the dead come with it. No clan can stop them.
The free folk can't stop them, the Night's Watch can't stop them, and all the Southern Kings can't stop them.
Only together. All of us. And even then it may not be enough, but at least we'll give the fuckers a fight.
You vouch for this man, Tormund.
He's prettier than both my daughters. But he knows how to fight. He's young, but he knows how to lead. He didn't have to come to Hardhome. He came because he needs us. And we need him.
I'm with Tormund. We stay here, we're dead men. At least with King Crow, there's a chance.
Tormund. Keep that new life you want to give us. And keep your glass, King Crow. As soon as you get on his ships, they're gonna slit your throats and dump your bodies to the bottom of the Shivering Sea. That's our enemy. That has always been our enemy.
Behind, the free folk are stubborn. You know how long it took Mance to band them together? 20 fucking years.
And he knew them better than I ever will.
They're running out of food, and there's nothing to hunt. They'll come round.
They're gonna let them pass the wall even if you're not there.
You have my word. I've given orders.
Don't think you're gonna be there to enforce those orders.
They get through! Everyone dies!
Nice watch! With me!
Get the glass.
This moment flipped the show upside down. It was one of the most unexpected battles I've ever seen. And not only did it establish Jon Snow as a new protagonist after 5 seasons, but also cemented the Night King as the biggest threat in this series, and one of the most compelling and mysterious villains of all time. The showdown between these two is going to be insane. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Bloodied and weary from defeat, Jon slumps through the gates of Castle Black with the wildling army at his back, to the glares and disgust of his brothers.
You have a good heart, Jon Snow. It'll get us all killed.
Lord Commander, it's one of the wildlings you brought back. Says he knows your Uncle Benjen. Says he's still alive.
Are you sure he's talking about Benjen?
Said he was First Ranger. Said he knows where to find him.
Man says he saw your uncle at Hard on the last full moon.
Could be lying.
Could be. There are ways to find out.
Where is he?
Over there. For the watch. For the watch. For the watch. For the watch. For the watch.
For the watch.
Jon dies a brutal death, all because he wanted to do the right thing. The ultimate sacrifice for his morals. His corpse is found by Sir Davos, who was sent back to Castle Black by Stannis to get more men. He takes Jon's body and barricades himself in the room, while Alistair, who has admitted his treason, is taking control of Castle Black. Davos and the few loyal brothers left refuse to let them in, and just as they're about to break in, the wildlings assault Castle Black upon hearing the news of Jon's death, who they were now loyal to. The Red Woman, who returned to Castle Black after failing and then abandoning Stannis, managed to resurrect Jon to the relief of the entire fanbase. Now, I'm never a big fan of undefined rules when it comes to magic and shows, and there's plenty of theories as to what actually brought him back, and I'm sure they'll eventually take the time to explain it. But this is Jon Snow, I don't give a damn. Bring his ass back for Christ's sakes, I can't take this. Jon rises up from the dead and walks out to punish the group of men that killed him.
I had a choice, Lord Commander. Betray you or betray the Night's Watch. You brought an army of wildlings into our lands. An army of murderers and raiders. If I had to do it all over, knowing where I'd end up, I pray I'd make the right choice again.
I'm sure you would, Sir Alistair.
I fought. I lost. Now I rest. But you, Lord Snow, you'll be fighting their battles forever.
He hangs 3 men and a child, and then quits as Lord Commander.
We saw what's out there. We know it's coming here. How can you leave us now?
I did everything I could, you know.
You swore a vow.
Aye, I pledged my life to the Night's Watch. I gave my life.
For all knights to come.
They killed me, Ed, my own brothers. You want me to stay here after that?
After years apart, he is reunited with his sister Sansa, only to find out the horrible news that his home, the castle of Winterfell, is now under the control of a psychotic bastard named Ramsay Bolton, who raped her and forced her to marry him, and she barely escaped. This was the only place she could think to go because she knows her brother Jon will help her.
To the traitor and bastard Jon Snow, you allowed thousands of wildlings past the wall. You have betrayed your own kind, you have betrayed the North. Winterfell is mine, bastard. Come and see. Your brother Rickon is in my dungeon. His direwolf skin is on my floor. Come and see. I want my bride back. Send her to me, bastard, and I will not trouble you or your wildling lovers. Keep her from me, and I will ride north and slaughter every wildling man, woman, and babe living under your protection. You will watch as I skin them living.
Go on.
Just more of the same.
You will watch as my soldiers take turns raping your sister. You will watch as my dogs devour your wild little brother. Then I will spoon your eyes from their sockets and let my dogs do the rest. Come and see. Ramsay Bolton, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North.
Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North.
His father's dead. Ramsay killed him. And now he has Rickon.
We don't know that.
Yes, we do.
How many men does he have in his army?
I heard him say 5,000 once when he was talking about Stannis' attack.
How many do you have?
That can march and fight. 2,000. The rest are children and old people.
You are the son of the last true Warden of the North. Northern families are loyal. They'll fight for you if you ask. A monster has taken our home and our brother. We have to go back to Winterfell and save them both.
We see them struggle to try to gather all the northern houses to rally for their cause, but none of them have any faith in the northern campaign after the defeat of Jon's brother, Robb Stark, a man who never lost a single battle, but let his love for a woman lead him to make the ultimate mistake, that cost him and the entire Northern Army their lives in the infamous Red Wedding episode. The idea of another king in the North is not one they are willing to consider. So Jon is forced to lead what's left of the wildlings and just a few Northmen against the entire Bolton army.
Thank you for returning Lady Bolton safely. Now, dismount and kneel before me. Surrender your army and proclaim me the true Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North. I will pardon you for deserting the Night's Watch. I will pardon these treasonous lords for betraying my house. Come, bastard. You don't have the men, you don't have the horses, and you don't have Winterfell. Why lead those poor souls into slaughter? There's no need for a battle. Get off your horse, kneel. I'm a man of mercy.
You're right. There's no need for a battle. Thousands of men don't need to die. Only one of us. Let's end this the old way. You against me.
I keep hearing stories about you, bastard. The way people in the North talk about you, you're the greatest swordsman who ever walked. Maybe you are that good. Maybe not. I don't know if I'd beat you, but I know that my army will beat yours. I have 6,000 men. You have, what? Half that? Not even?
Aye, you have the numbers. Will your men want to fight for you when they hear you wouldn't fight for them?
He's good. Very good. Tell me, will you let your little brother die because you're too proud to surrender?
How do we know you have him?
Now, if you want to save...
You're going to die tomorrow, Lord Bolton. Sleep well.
And once again, in one of the greatest episodes of television I've ever seen, we see the two main characters at their breaking points. On the other side of the world, Daenerys Targaryen, the daughter of the former king, has raised a powerful army with experienced advisors and 3 dragons. While Jon has been in the north, she has been in the east, liberating slave cities and creating a reputation big enough to reach all the way across the sea. We get a full display of her power and Jon's will in the same episode.
Use! With me, lads! Break their line!
You suggested one-on-one combat, didn't you? I've reconsidered. I think that sounds like a wonderful idea.
Such a fucking satisfying episode of television. Jon Snow got his superhero moment. I got my dream of seeing a giant storm the gates of Winterfell. We got to see Jon beat the piss out of Ramsay. Sansa fed his ass to the dogs. It was glorious. And the season ends with one of the most amazing reveals in television history.
Get us some water.
No, what did you
Is there a maester?
Listen to me, Ned. If Robert finds out you'll kill him, you know he will. You have to protect him. Promise me, Ned. Promise me. Promise me, Ned. Promise me.
The Vale to side with wildling invaders.
We didn't invade. We were invited.
Not by me.
Free folk, the Northerners and the Knights of the Vale fought bravely, fought together, and we won. My father used to say, we find our true friends on the battlefield.
The Boltons are defeated. The war is over. Winter has come. If the maesters are right, it'll be the coldest one in 1,000 years. We should ride home and wait out the coming storms.
The war is not over. And I promise you, friend, the true enemy won't wait out the storm. He brings the storm.
Your son was butchered at the Red Wedding, Lord Manderley. But you refused the call. You swore allegiance to House Stark, Lord Glover. But in their hour of greatest need, you refused the call. And you, Lord Kerwin, your father was skinned alive by Ramsay Bolton. Still, you refused the call. But House Mormont remembers. The North remembers. We know no king but the king in the North whose name is Stark. I don't care if he's a bastard. Ned Stark's blood runs through his veins. He's my king from this day until his last day.
Lady Mormont speaks harshly. And truly. My son died for Robb Stark, the young wolf. I didn't think we'd find another king in my lifetime. I didn't commit my men to your cause, because I didn't want more Manderleys dying for nothing. But I was wrong. Jon Snow avenged the Red Wedding. He is the White Wolf, the king in the North.
I did not fight beside you on the field, and I will regret that until my dying day. A man can only admit when he was wrong and ask forgiveness.
There's nothing to forgive, my lord.
There will be more fights to come. House Glover will stand behind House Stark, as we have for 1,000 years. And I will stand behind Jon Snow. The king in the North! The king in the North!
I don't know if I can find the words to describe how incredible this scene and this reveal is. Jon Snow essentially earned the crown through blood, sweat, and tears, a crown that should have been his from birthright. Ned Stark disgraced his name and lived a lie for almost 20 years in order to protect his nephew. Lyanna Mormont was named after Jon's mother, and she was the first person to speak up for Jon. The themes, the writing, the twists, the possibilities, and all of it makes sense. It's been set up since the first season perfectly. This is one of the most amazing twists of all time, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this. Jon Snow, the bastard, is a Targaryen with a greater claim to the throne than Daenerys. The amount of drama this will cause is insane. Just days into his reign as king, Jon receives 2 letters. One from Sam, who informs him that Dragonstone, a castle in Westeros, is sitting on top of a mountain of dragonglass. The other letter was from Dragonstone, from the Dragon Queen herself, who has arrived in Westeros to take the throne and has requested the king in the north comes to meet her. And against all advice, Jon decides to go.
At some point, I want to hear how a Night's Watch recruit became king in the north.
As long as you tell me how a Lannister became hand to Daenerys Targaryen.
Long and bloody tale. To be honest, I was drunk for most of it.
My bannermen think I'm a fool for coming in.
Of course they do. If I was your hand, I would have advised against it. General rule of thumb. Stark men don't fare well when they travel south.
True. But I'm not a Stark.
And in the most anticipated meeting in the entire show, Jon Snow and Daenerys meet for the first time. And instead of shoehorning in unearned chemistry like a lot of shows would, they clash from the very beginning, as they should, based on their established characters. It's fantastic.
I never did receive a formal education, but I could have sworn I read the last king in the north was Torrhen Stark, who bent the knee to my ancestor Aegon Targaryen. In exchange for his life, and the lives of the Northmen, Torrhen Stark swore fealty to House Targaryen in perpetuity. Or do I have my facts wrong?
I wasn't there, Your Grace.
No, of course not. But still, an oath is an oath. And perpetuity means... What does perpetuity mean, Lord Tyrion?
Forever.
Forever. So I assume, my lord, you're here to bend the knee.
I am not.
Oh. Well, that is unfortunate. You've traveled all this way to break faith with House Targaryen?
Break faith? Your father burned my grandfather alive. He burned my uncle alive. He would have burned the Seven Kingdoms.
My father was an evil man. On behalf of House Targaryen, I ask your forgiveness for the crimes he committed against your family. And I ask you not to judge a daughter by the sins of her father. Our 2 houses were allies for centuries. And those were the best centuries the Seven Kingdoms have ever known. Centuries of peace and prosperity, with a Targaryen sitting on the Iron Throne, and a Stark serving as Warden of the North. I am the last Targaryen, Jon Snow. Honor the pledge your ancestor made to mine. Bend the knee, and I will name you Warden of the North. Together, we will save this country from those who would destroy it.
You're right. You're not guilty of your father's crimes. And I'm not beholden to my ancestors' vows.
Then why are you here?
Because I need your help, and you need mine.
Did you see 3 dragons flying overhead when you arrived?
I did.
And did you see the Dothraki? All of whom have sworn to kill for me.
They're hard to miss.
But still, I need your help.
Not to defeat Cersei. You could storm King's Landing tomorrow and the city would fall. Hell, we almost took it and we didn't even have dragons.
Almost.
But you haven't stormed King's Landing. Why not? The only reason I can see is you don't want to kill thousands of innocent people. It's the fastest way to win the war, but you won't do it. Which means, at the very least, you're better than Cersei.
Still, that doesn't explain why I need your help.
Because right now, you and I and Cersei and everyone else, we're children playing at a game screaming that the rules aren't fair.
You told me you liked this man.
I do.
In the time since he's met me, he's refused to call me queen, he's refused to bow, and now he's calling me a child.
I believe he's calling all of us children. Figure of speech.
Your Grace, everyone you know will die before winter's over if we don't defeat the enemy to the north.
As far as I can see, you are the enemy to the north.
I'm not your enemy. The dead are the enemy.
The dead. Is that another figure of speech?
The army of the dead is on the march.
The army of the dead.
You don't know me well, my lord, but do you think I'm a liar or a madman?
No, I don't think you're either of those things.
The army of the dead is real. The White Walkers are real. The Night King is real. I've seen them. If they get past the wall and we're squabbling amongst ourselves, we're finished.
I was born at Dragonstone. Not that I can remember it. We fled before Robert's assassins could find us. Robert was your father's best friend, no? I wonder if your father knew his best friend sent assassins to murder a baby girl in her crib. Not that it matters now, of course. I spent my life in foreign lands. So many men have tried to kill me. I don't remember all their names. I have been sold like a brood mare. I've been shamed and betrayed, raped and defiled. Do you know what kept me standing through all those years in exile? Faith. Not in any gods. Not in myths and legends. In myself. In Daenerys Targaryen. The world hadn't seen a dragon in centuries until my children were born. The Dothraki hadn't crossed the sea. Any sea. They did for me. I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms. And I will.
You'll be rolling over a graveyard if we don't defeat the Night King.
The war against my sister has already begun. You can't expect us to halt hostilities and join you in fighting whatever you saw beyond the wall.
You don't believe him. I understand that. It sounds like nonsense. But if destiny has brought Daenerys Targaryen back to our shores, it has also made Jon Snow king in the north. You were the first to bring Dothraki to Westeros. He is the first to make allies of wildlings and Northmen. He was named Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He was named King in the North. Not because of his birthright. He has no birthright. He's a damn bastard. All those hard sons of bitches chose him as their leader because they believe in him. All those things you don't believe in, he faced those things. He fought those things for the good of his people. He risked his life for his people. He took a knife in the heart for his people. He gave his own... If we don't put aside our enmities and band together, we will die. And then it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne.
If it doesn't matter, then you might as well kneel. Swear your allegiance to Queen Daenerys, help her to defeat my sister, and together our armies will protect the North.
There's no time for that. There's no time for any of this. While we stand here debating...
It takes no time to bend the knee. Pledge your sword to her cause.
And why would I do that? I mean no offense, Your Grace, but I don't know you. As far as I can tell, your claim to the throne rests entirely on your father's name, and my own father fought to overthrow the Mad King. The Lords of the North placed their trust in me to lead them, and I will continue to do so as well as I can.
Their positions have been established and the lines have been drawn, and as soon as Dany finishes her threat, she gets the news that both of her allies have been wiped out, and the need for peace with the North is now paramount. They are forced to be civil, and we see the hostility between them break down as they try to convince each other to help one another. Jon makes it clear that he can't bend the knee after what his people have been through, and Dany makes it clear that the throne is hers, along with the North, but she will help them if he kneels to her. This is so perfectly in line with the characters that it's so satisfying for longtime fans to see the two protagonists debate. Jon manages to get her to believe he's telling the truth about the Walkers, right before Daenerys gets the news that another one of her allies has been defeated by the Lannisters. In her frustration, she asks Jon Snow what he thinks, desperate to hear a second opinion.
Enough with the clever plans. I have 3 large dragons. I'm going to fly them to the Red Keep.
We've discussed this.
My enemies are in the Red Keep. What kind of a queen am I if I'm not willing to risk my life to fight them?
A smart one.
What do you think I should do?
I would never
I'm
presume
at war. I'm losing. What do you think I should do?
I never thought that dragons would exist again. No one did. The people who follow you know that you made something impossible happen. Maybe that helps them believe that you can make other impossible things happen. Build a world that's different from the shit one they've always known. But if you use them to melt castles and burn cities, you're not different. You're just more of the same.
one hand. Mistrzowski na złoladzie.
Dany ignores Jon's advice and massacres the Lannister army in once again one of the most stunning and incredible fight scenes ever filmed. Shortly after her return, Jon receives more shocking news. Bran and Arya, his brother and sister, both whom he thought were dead, are apparently at Winterfell, and the army of the dead is almost there as well. He's officially run out of time to convince Daenerys. He has to go back.
I haven't given you permission to leave.
With respect, Your Grace, I don't need your permission. I am a king.
After discussing the possible options, they conclude that the best course of action would be to travel north to capture a walker so they have proof of the army of the dead, in order to make peace with the Lannisters so they have time to deal with the real threat. And once again, we see Jon beyond the wall on a mission to capture the White Walker. After capturing a walker and getting trapped in the north overnight, Daenerys makes a glorious entrance, destroying countless of undead with dragonfire, saving Jon Snow and his entire crew. They all climb on the dragon to make their escape as Jon holds off the horde by himself. And just as they are in the clear, the Night King takes out one of the dragons with a single spear, further cementing himself as the true threat in this show. Jon yells for Daenerys to leave before he can throw another as he fights off the horde of zombies and gets tackled into the water. Daenerys and the rest of the group fly away as the Night King preps another spear, leaving Jon behind. And after one of the most incredible journeys, 7 seasons of storytelling, Jon Snow is never seen again. The man that rises from the icy water is not the same man we've been following for years. He is not the bastard. He's not the king in the north. I would like to introduce you to Jake Snow, the pathetic shell that's left of Jon's character. Jake wakes up to see Daenerys, and now, fully invested in his cause, she says this.
We are going to destroy the Night King and his army. We'll do it together. You have my word.
And overwhelmed with the guilt of the death of her dragons, Jon bends the knee.
Not Dany. How about my queen?
How will they handle the news that they are related? How will Daenerys feel knowing there's someone who has a stronger claim to the throne than her? The potential for drama and incredible storytelling was the main reason I gave this relationship a pass. Nobody can replace Ygritte, but the actors put in a good performance and sold me on the idea of them being together. The only problem is, this isn't Jon. After 2 years of anticipation, the 8th and final season is here. They arrive together at Winterfell in all their glory, paying homage to Robert's glorious entrance back in season 1, even using the same music to really get you in the mood. They even added the detail of some kid fighting to get into position to see the king's army, just like Bran was way back when. Jake introduces his new queen to Sansa and the people of Winterfell, who make it clear from the first impression that she wants nothing to do with Daenerys, a southern ruler. This scene is immediately interrupted by Jon's brother Bran with the most telling line of the episode.
We don't have time for all this.
If only we knew how many things he was referring to. In the first War Council, we see the effect Jon's demotion has had on his reputation.
There's no sense in manning the castles anymore. We make our stand here.
At once, Your Grace.
Your Grace. But you're not, are you? You left Winterfell a king and came back a... I'm not sure what you are now. A lord? Nothing at all?
It's not important.
Not important. We named you King in the North.
This is physically painful to watch in comparison to the epic scene where he became king. In the next scene, we get arguably the most forced moment of fan service in the whole season, as Jake awkwardly rides a dragon for no reason at all other than the writers know it's something that we want to see. I'm sure millions of other fans fantasize about the moment he would fulfill his destiny and ride a dragon, just like I did, but none of us imagined that it would be as awkward and random and forced as this was. Did I enjoy it anyway? Yes. But this is a huge cop-out for what could have been a much more meaningful scene than Daenerys just saying, "Here, take the keys." Sam finds out the tragic news that his brother and father were burned alive by Dany after refusing to bend the knee.
You cannot send me to the wall. You are not my queen.
You will have to kill me too.
Step back and shut your mouth.
Who are you?
A stupid boy.
I'm Dickon Tarly, son of Randall Tarly.
You are the future of your house. This war has already wiped one great house from the world. Don't let it happen again. Bend the knee.
I will not.
Lord Randall Tarly, Dickon Tarly. I, Daenerys of House Targaryen, first of my name, breaker of chains and mother of dragons, sentence you to die. Dracarys.
Overwhelmed with this news, and being one of the only two people who know the truth about Jon, he snaps and rushes to go tell him.
Don't you know?
Know what?
Daenerys. She executed my father and brother. They were prisoners. She didn't tell you.
I'm so sorry. We need to end this war.
Would you have done it?
I've executed men who disobeyed me.
You've also spared men. Thousands of wildlings when they refused to kneel.
I wasn't a king.
But you were. You've always been.
I gave up my crown, Sam. I bent the knee. I'm not king in the north anymore.
I'm not talking about the king in the north. I'm talking about the king of the bloody Seven Kingdoms.
Bran and I worked it out. I had a High Septon's diary. Bran had... whatever Bran has.
What are you talking about?
Your mother was Lyanna Stark. And your father, your real father, was Rhaegar Targaryen. You've never been a bastard. You are Aegon Targaryen, true heir to the Iron Throne. I'm sorry. I know it's a lot to take in.
My father was the most honorable man I ever met. You said he lied to me all my life.
Your father, Ned Stark, he promised your mother he'd always protect you. And he did. Robert would have murdered you if he knew. You're the true king. Aegon Targaryen, sixth of his name, protector of the realm, all of it.
Daenerys is our queen.
She shouldn't be.
That's treason.
It's the truth. You gave up your crown to save your people. Would she do the same?
Of all the incredible situations he has been in, this might very well be the most complicated. In the very next council scene, we see Sansa and Daenerys are on the forefront, deciding what to do with Jaime Lannister, who has abandoned his sister and has come to do the right thing and fight against the army of the dead, as Jon sits 2 chairs down, having zero input or authority in the entire meeting, until Dany asks him a question just to make sure he's still awake. You would think he'd have plenty to contribute to the conversation, considering he's the only one who's fought the undead. Tormund returns to Winterfell with news that the Night King is almost here, as the preparations for battle begin. Some of the greatest tacticians and war veterans of the entire series have all assembled to come up with a plan to hold off the army of the dead. This show has so many established and experienced characters, the idea of them collaborating on a strategy is just fantastic to watch. I can't wait to see what master plan they come up with. After avoiding Daenerys the entire day trying to decide how to break the news to her, Jon is confronted and forced to reveal the truth.
Who's that?
Lyanna Stark.
My brother Rhaegar. Everyone told me he was decent and kind. He liked to sing. Gave money to poor children. And he raped her.
He didn't. He loved her. They were married in secret. After Rhaegar fell on the Trident, she had a son. Robert would have murdered the baby if he ever found out, and Lyanna knew it. So the last thing she did, as she bled to death on her birthing bed, was give the boy to her brother, Ned Stark, to raise as his bastard. My name. My real name is Aegon Targaryen.
It's impossible.
I wish it were.
Who told you this?
Bran. He saw it.
He saw it?
And Samwell confirmed it. He read about their marriage at the Citadel without even knowing what it meant.
A secret no one in the world knew. Except your brother and your best friend. Doesn't seem strange to you?
It's true, Dany. I know it is.
If it were true, it would make you the last male heir of House Targaryen. You'd have a claim to the Iron Throne.
Daenerys' entire worldview up to this point revolved around her being the rightful ruler by blood, only to find out that a man she has fallen in love with not only has a greater claim to the throne and more support of the people than her, but is also her nephew. They went from being a power couple to the most complicated form of incest imaginable. And before anything could be discussed further, the horns sound as the army of the dead approaches the walls of Winterfell. The battle is about to begin and their drama needs to be put to the side. The long night, the battle for Winterfell, the epic last stand that we waited years for, starts with the painful realization that the genius minds of Westeros decided to put the vulnerable people who can't fight in a fucking crypt, even though they're facing an army that can raise the dead. They decided to position their entire army outside, exposed, even though they have a fucking castle. They decided to have Jon sit on the cliff with Daenerys instead of being on the field with his men. They decide to have the Dothraki charge blind into the night, even though they have no idea where the enemies are or how many of them they're facing, resulting in all of them being killed before the battle has even begun. They turned seasoned soldiers into flailing idiots. Instead of having the Greyjoys, the best archers in the show, on the wall in position, they have them in the Goswood on the ground with no swords, just a couple bucket of arrows. Daenerys spends half the fucking episode stuck in a blizzard as the entire cast has their deaths teased over and over and over until you lose all investment and immersion. A show that was once praised for being grounded and realistic now has the most plot armor I've ever seen in a single episode, as people are swarmed on all sides, but when we cut back to them, they're perfectly fine. It's completely ridiculous. The music and the visuals blind you to the pure stupidity of the writing in this episode, and the investment in Jon versus the Night King is all that there's left to salvage this, as he runs through Winterfell trying to stop him, only to be cut off by his dragon. Bran is face to face with the Night King, the villain that's been built up since the first scene of this entire show, the most anticipated moment of the series, almost a decade of storytelling, is completely ruined as Arya phases in out of thin air and stabs the Night King, destroying him and his entire army. In one stab of a knife, wiped out the main protagonist and his entire faction, with no answers in the stupidest way imaginable.
Do you realize what you have done? What you just did? You fucking worthless writers. You just destroyed root and stem what the entire fucking point of this fucking show was.
You just killed Darth Vader in the middle of Empire Strikes Back.
I think from start to finish, this episode was a complete screw up. Worthless. I did not give a shit. I didn't know what was going on. There was a few decent shots. Otherwise, it was basically shaky cam, a lot of slapdash editing, a bunch of shit. I didn't give a fuck what happened. I don't even know for sure who's dead and who's alive at this point, and I don't care. I am fucking done with this shit.
The White Walkers is literally a fairy tale. Who cares about them? They were crap.
Jon faced off against the Night King at Hardhome. They set up a battle between them when they stared each other down, and the Night King's all, come at me, bro. And they skirmished a little bit in the with dragons, and Arya comes in at the last minute and kills the Night King.
Jon Snow basically had his entire character swept from under him too. Every time he makes a decision, it's in favor of the living. He never gave two fucking shits about the throne. He wanted to see the Night King destroyed and the world of men brought back together. You have this moment where he chooses to leave all of the people he loves behind to pursue the Night King, that he cannot and will not put one life over everyone else's lives because this is the moment he has to come through. And what? He can't because a dragon got in the way. And now it's done. While he was reeing at the dragon, Arya took care of his job for him. What the fuck is he gonna do now? What the fuck was he brought back from the fucking dead for? Someone did his job for him and all that's left is Cersei.
So how did she become Wolverine/Batman by fighting the waif with the stick? Because that's all she really did.
Complete and total shit show. But I forgave all of that. But I will not forgive this.
I feel like a bit of an idiot for telling everybody to watch this show, for backing the show, for years telling everybody to get in this show, doing podcasts on this show forever, going, this is the best show on TV, and it really is some of the best writing, and blah, blah, blah. And now I feel like a total dumbass. I do.
Yeah, me too. But I feel like an idiot because I invested so much in it, and I believed in it so much. And this is bullshit, dude. This is just bullshit.
How these guys are the same writers from season 4. One of the best seasons of television I've ever seen.
This was Jon's fucking episode, and he was either fucking something up or failing to get something done. He doesn't even know what happened. He probably thinks his screeching actually killed the dragon. What a waste. Well fucking played.
The Night King and the White Walkers were supposed to show us that the Game of Thrones was meaningless, and all the politics and all the backstabbing and all the bullshit was pointless, as they were the real threat and we'd have to put out at the side and work together. The theme of unity was the heart of this series, and you literally just stabbed it. Arya has never even seen a White Walker. She had no association with the storyline. She had no reason to even be here, as her path was leading her down a different, darker road. But instead they washed her character and turned her right back into family Arya, and gave her the biggest moment in the entire series. As Jon Snow, the man who has literally given his life for this cause, does absolutely nothing. He didn't even get to fight the Night King or even take part in his defeat. This was Jon's fucking battle, and you made him worthless. His entire story led to this moment, and you made him worthless. What is his purpose now? What the fuck did he come back from the dead for? Mance Rayder spent 20 years of his life gathering the free folk and creating the Wildling army, all because of the threat of the undead. And all it took was one stab. One fucking stab, are you kidding me? This makes so much of the journey and all the warnings of winter pointless. It ruined Jon's entire story arc leaving him with nothing. It makes the Night King the biggest flop of a villain in history. What the fuck was he doing with those babies? How did he link to Bran? Why does he want them dead? How did they return after all these years? All these questions, we get nothing. The episode ends with the Red Woman walking out onto the battlefield and just dying for no fucking reason, leaving another 10,000 questions unanswered. The Lord of Light, the prophecy about Jon and Daenerys, how she brought Jon Snow back to life, the fact that she's a freaking gargoyle in disguise. None of these things are answered. Dan and Dave, the two buffoons who somehow got the keys to George R.R. Martin's source material, these two idiots decided to cut off every supernatural aspect of the show in one episode, just to force the plot in the direction that they wanted. Arya didn't just stab the Night King, she stabbed this show, and we were forced to watch it bleed out and die over the next 3 episodes. Episode 4 starts out by completely skipping the direct aftermath of the battle to a funeral, destroying any possibility of a twist and confirming the events of the previous episode. We don't get to see Jon or anyone's reaction to Arya one-shotting the Night King. We don't see any of the Starks react to the desecration of their crypt. No comment on the Red Woman, no one mentions Theon's idiotic death, nobody asked Bran what the fuck he was doing the entire battle, sitting there being worthless. They barely look like they've been in a fight. A couple scrapes and boo-boos and a lifeless speech from Jon and that's it. They move on from the Night King that quickly. It cuts right to a celebration party in a scene that stands out as the bottom of the barrel for dialogue in the whole season, just to show how far this show has fallen. A show once praised for its elegant and witty dialogue has been reduced to a group of idiots spilling wine all over each other and embarrassing their characters. It cuts back to Jake and Dany, and instead of addressing the enormous elephant in the room, Daenerys hopes he's drunk enough to not think about it and just goes in for the kill. And after getting brushed off by Jake, she tells him she wishes he never told him, and expresses how jealous she was from the praise he was getting. How long before they demand he takes the throne? And Jon responds in the only way he can, reminding her that he didn't want it. And Daenerys tries to make it crystal clear to him, begs him to keep it secret or it'll destroy them both. There's no reason anyone needs to know and it'll only cause problems. Ned kept this a secret for decades for a good reason. This is something Jon Snow would understand. But this is Jake Snow and he's a fucking idiot.
Jon, you aren't making any sense at all. Someone is clearly making you do things you wouldn't normally do.
He says you're my queen, but they're my family. And we can make it work, don't worry. And Daenerys, desperately trying to get this point into his head, says this.
We can. I've just told you how.
Dany leaves the room in disgust, and Jake just stands there, like he's trying to solve a complex math equation, totally stunned and unable to process this incredibly simple request. Keep your mouth shut, or everything will be ruined. Everything you want is within your grasp. Arya won your war for you. Sansa is speaking for you, because you're suddenly a useless side character. Daenerys just held your hand and explained exactly what you need to do. Just keep your mouth shut. When confronted by his siblings, Jake defends Daenerys, saying that they don't know her, which is painful to listen to considering the fact that he just met her and barely knows her either. Then Arya chimes in saying that they're family, the last of the Starks, and Jake says,
I've never been a Stark.
And then Sansa says,
You are. You're just as much Ned Stark's child as any of us.
You're my brother. Not my half-brother or my bastard brother. My brother.
Could you be any more obvious with this forced dialogue? This show used to be so well done and unpredictable. Now you're just beating us over the head with the obvious setups, trying to convince the audience that this is the only decision left for Jon to do, even though Dany just fucking begged him not to. He knows Sansa hates her, and it will only cause more problems. But instead of making the obvious choice, Jake asked them to pinky swear. As stupid as this scene is, I'm still really interested to see how Sansa and Arya react to this. How will they respond to the news that their father lied to them for their entire lives, and Jon isn't their bastard brother, he's actually their cousin and the rightful king to the Iron Throne? But I guess the writers didn't feel the same way since they decided to cut the scene. We don't get to see how they react. We don't know how they feel about the situation. They just cut it. Because who cares about that, right? We have no time for that shit. In what feels like 5 minutes later, Sansa breaks her promise and tells Tyrion in order to manipulate him to spreading the rumor. Because Tyrion has gone from one of the best characters in television history and the most intelligent character in the show into a scruffy, brain-dead, slimy little coward that's too stupid to understand he's being used. We see everyone gather together for the final war council to decide how they're going to remove Cersei from power without destroying King's Landing. Even though we saw the vast majority of Dany's army completely wiped out, they claim to have only lost exactly half. Another lazy attempt of evening the odds, even though this battle should be easily winnable. There's no discussion of using Arya, who's basically the god of death at this point, and they decide to travel separately, with Jon on foot and Dany by boat. Why? Why would they do this? Why the fuck would they do any of this? Why are they making intelligent characters make awful choices just to rush the plot in a new direction? Why would Dany do this, when the biggest threat to her is Euron's fleet, who wiped out her allies last season? They even discussed this very point in the meeting. Sansa points out that they need more time for the army to rest and recover, and Dany, who is slowly having her character removed one scene at a time just like Jon, ignores this, insisting that they need to return the favor. Even though the Long Night was a war that affected everyone, even though Sansa was referring to her army as well when she said they needed to rest. And of course, the one person who shouldn't give a single fuck about the throne, the one person who should be completely in agreement with Sansa, is now named Jake, so he says this.
The northern forces will honor their promises and their allegiance to the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
It cuts to Tyrion on the ship with Varys, discussing the rumor that is now, according to Varys, no longer a rumor, it's information. Ned kept this fucking secret safe for decades, and these cunts can't go 48 hours without yapping away. This is crazy. We see Daenerys frolicking in the sky on her dragons, having a great time. This is a woman who recently lost one of her dragons, her best advisor and potentially her claim to the throne. She should not be in a playful mood whatsoever, yet they ignore all this just to put her in a position she shouldn't be in, just to have something happen that makes no sense.
There comes a time in all forms of media consumption where you are so utterly bewildered by an event taking place that there are so many things wrong with it that you don't have words and you simply laugh. When I saw this sequence for the first time, I wish I had recorded it. I burst out laughing, struggling to compose myself, and I was fundamentally blown away at what in the world I was seeing. And the kicker? I wasn't even entirely sure of why. It's like so many issues cascade on your brain at once, you are overwhelmed and you couldn't possibly pass it out in the amount of time you have left before something utterly ridiculous happens on top of what you just saw. So that's why we have videos like the one you are listening to now, to have a moment to think, to collect information and lay out what happened. Because what the fuck?
I don't know how else I could describe this moment other than the writers just wanted to nerf Dany's power as much as possible, by any means necessary. It doesn't matter if it makes any sense or completely ruins the threat of the dragons, there's nothing they won't do to rush this show. They literally mentioned the Iron Fleet in the meeting. How is this possible? How? How?
While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces, they certainly haven't forgotten about her.
And the Golden Company has arrived in King's Landing, courtesy of the Greyjoy fleet. The balance has grown distressingly even.
While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces.
We need to find Euron Greyjoy's fleet and sink it.
Your Grace, he's already destroyed a good portion of our fleet.
While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces.
Your strategy has lost us Dawn, the Iron Islands, and the Reach.
While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces.
Euron's ships could be anywhere, or in more than one place. He'd be flying around the open seas alone for who knows how long.
I wouldn't be alone. I would have Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal. What can anyone do to them?
While while Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces, they certainly haven't forgotten about her.
Do you need any more evidence that they don't give a single fuck about these characters? How the hell did that man let this slip out of his mouth? Unbelievable. For all the people who are passionate fans of this show, how does it feel to look at these clips and realize that the writers didn't even give a fuck about it, or the characters they were writing for? We see Jon saying his goodbyes. He says bye to Sam and Gilly, who say they're naming their son after him. They don't mention the fact that Jon left him for dead in the middle of a battle. Nor do they mention their brother Ed, who after 8 seasons in the show died brutally protecting Sam. Nobody even mentions him. They don't even have time to be human anymore because the plot is being rushed in a certain direction and all the characters are suffering for it. He finishes his goodbyes and gives a look back to Ghost, his faithful direwolf that he raised from a puppy and has been by his side for years. Ghost even lost an ear in the battle. He deserves as much love and respect as any of the other soldiers there. And Jake fucking snubs him, turning his back on him without even a pat on the head. Who is this fucking monster? What the fuck have you done to Jon Snow? What have you done to this character? Why is Jon a fucking NPC? Why are you doing this?
Jon fucking Snow. You couldn't just hug that good boy, could you? You couldn't even pet him. You've known that pupperino for like the entire fucking series. Ghost never left you even when you were fucking dead. And what? Jon leaves Ghost for a psychopath? Wonderful. Jon literally just gave away his loyal pupper, his beloved companion, his fucking closest ally so casually. It's making me want to rewrite the episode just so I have a version where it doesn't happen. Was Jon just using Ghost this whole time to eat people he didn't like and he just ran out of said people? Jon, why are you the worst thing on this planet? Can you please hug your doggo? You better fix this in episode 6 because I actually kind of hate you. Ghost is wounded and he's wounded because of you, for you. I want this scene to simply be deleted. I want to stab it in its stupid face. The show is better if we simply delete this scene and pretend that Ghost is just healing instead of the reality being that for no reason Ghost is ditched by Jon fucking Snow, you cosmic cunt.
We see Jon is approached by Varys, who is now convinced that he is the best choice to be king after hearing the rumor was spread by Tyrion, after getting used by Sansa, who broke her promise to Jon, who ignored Daenerys to tell Sansa. A long chain of stupid events to lead to this point. None of them would have done any of this. It makes no sense. But like I've been trying to prove, they want to push the plot in certain directions, so none of their established character traits matter. Nobody is a human anymore. So just like Jon and Tyrion, Varys has also been stripped of his character traits. The Master of Whisperers, the best spy in Westeros who has been operating under the shadows for decades, pulling the strings like a puppet master in order to help the realm in any way he can, for some stupid reason decides to approach Jon Snow in broad daylight on an open beach, reveal his plans to betray the queen to a total stranger right in front of the hand of the queen. And if this isn't stupid enough, he decides to poison Daenerys using a child before the battle is even won. The kid tells him that he's being watched, and he says,
"What have I told you, Martha?"
The greater the risk, the greater the reward.
Go on.
Okay, this is not Varys. I have no idea who the fuck this man is, but this makes no sense. This is not the same character.
Storms come and go. The big fish eat the little fish, and I keep on paddling. I will act in their interest, no matter the personal cost.
No matter the personal cost? That sounds pretty fucking heroic there, Varys.
You watched my men being slaughtered and did nothing.
And would again, my lord. When you look at me, do you see a hero? Saved your life. If they catch you, they catch me. I cannot say I feel overly guilty about leaving you in that fucking crate.
Can you free me from this bed?
I could. But will I? No. As I said, I'm no hero.
Dany, who has been slowly losing her mind after several losses, is approached by Tyrion, who tells her that there's something that she needs to know. She immediately reads his mind, assuming that he's coming to tell her that someone has betrayed her. And the small puddle of mush that's left of Tyrion's once great mind takes a few seconds to register this.
Someone has betrayed me.
Yes.
Dany asks if it was Jon, and Tyrion, after another brain fart, for no reason whatsoever, rats out his best friend and most loyal companion.
Varys.
Dany somehow knew the exact chain of events and how the info was spread. How? How is this even possible? Did she ask Bran? Did he actually do something this season, but it was just off camera? Either way, Varys is screwed, and they don't even bother to tell us why. Was it the letters he wrote? Was it the poison? Was it his conversation with Jon? Is she just sick of his face? I have no idea. Nobody talks to anyone anymore. What the fuck is going on? All the important conversations are cut off, but they spend time to show us seeing them get drunk. I have no idea how anyone feels about anything. Dany burns Varys alive for reasons we will never know. Tyrion rats out his best friend for reasons we will never know. Varys doesn't even fight for his case. He doesn't speak up for himself. He doesn't confess. He doesn't have any last words for Daenerys. He does nothing that the character I've watched for years would have done, and we're forced to watch him burn alive. And while all of this is happening, Jake is just standing there. No input whatsoever. He's become a fucking side character with no ability to even comment on the situation. He stands there and watches a man burn to death without any confirmation of his guilt. Do you remember what he did the last time he saw someone burn? And that was a situation where Mance Rayder had a reason to be burned by Stannis. Stannis had the authority to do so, and Jon understood the entire situation. Yet he still risked himself to save an enemy. Yet Varys, someone who was an ally to Jon, someone who was trying to reach out to Jon just 24 hours ago, he sits there and he does nothing. In the next scene, we see Jake standing there like a child who's in trouble, waiting for his mom to speak.
What did I say would happen if you told your sister?
I don't want it, and that's what I told him.
Jake, stop. You're actually killing me. Can you please say something else? Anything else? Please?
I love you. And you will always be my queen.
What the fuck, man? What have you done to this guy? What is this shit? What have you done to this guy? What is this? This is just embarrassing. What the fuck did Kit Harington think when he got this script? So Dany, like a thirsty freak, 5 minutes after barbecuing Varys right in front of him, with full knowledge that they're related, and instead of discussing it any further, decides to try to rape poor Jake. Now I'm confident even with all of these issues, Jon would have embraced her, either for love or the greater good, to appease this situation. But this is Jake, so he pulls away in fear, creating an even greater wedge between them than spreading the secret ever could. This was the final piece that the writers decided to shove into this season to push Daenerys over the edge, who decides that if she can't rule with love, then she'll have to rule with fear. When the armies of the north are assembled in front of the gates of King's Landing, Tyrion tells them if they ring the bells, call off your army and let them surrender.
This is Jon's reaction. Who are you anymore? Why didn't you say yes? Why are you acting like this is a tough decision? You just watched families pile into that city. Do you not want to surrender? If the request is confusing, then maybe you could ask Tyrion a follow-up question? You are Jon fucking Snow. Stop pretending like you have no agency.
Every chance they get to show us that the man who should be making decisions as a leader is a worthless shell of himself, who can't even respond to a simple question at this point. We see the Mad Queen herself, Cersei Lannister, who's done absolutely nothing this whole season, even though they booted the Night King out of the show to make her the big baddie. She walks up to the balcony and assumes her position the writers have decided to have her stuck in all season. Cersei Lannister is my favorite character, and to watch her stand her all season like a mannequin is almost as painful as watching Jake, and her time might come too for a video. After 6 seasons of gathering a massive army to take back the 7 kingdoms, it only took less than 8 minutes on Drogon to obliterate the Lannisters' defenses and bring them to kneel. This, just like Arya ruining Jon's arc by killing the Night King, makes so much of Daenerys' journey pointless. All that time she spent gaining experience and building an army, when all she needed was a couple minutes on Drogon. All the years I envisioned the attack on King's Landing, I never imagined it would be this simple and anticlimactic. She lands her dragons on the walls of King's Landing as the Lannister soldiers drop their swords in defeat, and the rest of the city folk scream for them to ring the bells. As Cersei, the person who provoked this entire battle, stands there like she's done this entire season, and proceeds to do absolutely nothing and watches everything she and her family fought for fall out of her hands so easily. She stands there in denial as her soldiers give up. No traps, no plan B. It's completely humiliating for anyone who's a fan of this character. They cut to Daenerys, who is still clearly in distress and not satisfied with this victory. She glares at the Red Keep as she takes flight. Cersei's time has come. put it simply, this is the worst case of character assassination of all time. It's worse than Luke Skywalker, the character assassination that inspired my entire channel. It's worse than Jake Snow, the video you're watching right now. A woman who spent most of her adult life protecting the innocent and freeing slaves. A woman who spent the last 2 seasons trying to take the city without hurting any innocent. Burns thousands of fleeing civilians, including children, ruthlessly for no reason whatsoever. She burns everything except Cersei, and they make sure not to show her face the entire rest of the episode, so we have no idea how she feels about any of it. She puts more effort into burning children than she did fighting the Night King. This is absolute insanity. They obliterated her character just to make a shocking scene. The Northmen, who literally days before this put their lives on the line to defend the world of men, decide to rape and pillage the same people they fought to save. And while all of this is taking place, Jake is just standing there, doing nothing, helplessly flopping in the wind as his men commit treason and murder unarmed soldiers. This is the same guy who gave up the love of his life to save a man who was a complete stranger to him. He sacrificed his life for his morals. He has fought tooth and nail to save the innocent. The Jon Snow I know would be shouting orders all over the battlefield. He would be leading. He would never let this shit happen, even if it meant fighting his own men.
And so let's talk about Jon Snow. Oh, what's happening? Is he still pissed off he didn't get to kill the Night King? Is that what's happening? Because we are getting absolutely nothing from him. What has happened to this character? This is someone who's been determined his whole life to really accomplish something and embrace some sort of destiny of his. And now, at the very clutch moment, he's become vacant in the head.
This is a colossal shame because he was a character that thousands of people in Westeros and millions of people in real life rallied behind. He is supposed to be a leader, but his conviction is gone. He's become a worthless fucking lackey.
I don't want it. I never have. I don't want it, and that's what I told him. I told you I don't want it. You are my queen. Daenerys is our queen. She'll be a good queen. You are my queen. I don't know what else I can say. She is our queen, and you will always be my queen. She is my queen.
Jon's dialogue options have been truncated down into 2 simple choices, submit or whine. And when the queen that he so dutifully serves tells him she will rule with fear and the plan to obliterate the city is put into action, he just stands there, letting everyone suffer. And what does it take for him to wake up? Not the execution of surrendered soldiers, not the slitting of crying city folks' throats, not the screams of children, not even an attempted rape brings him out of his character assassinated stupor. The assault continues and he is woken up by the idea that his men might be injured during their pillaging. This is the guy who ferried the free folk past the fucking Night's Watch. This man is a paragon of virtue and sacrifice. He makes the lives of innocents better at any cost to his own, no matter their fucking flag. And we see him stand there, confused at the sight of pain, suffering, rape, and destruction of a surrendered set of thousands, until the majority of them are either butchered or incinerated. Go fuck yourself, Jake Snow. I actually hope that in your day-to-day life your socks stay wet. That's how much I hate you.
Episode 3 destroyed the core theme of this show, and then Episode 4 brought the plot to its knees. But this is truly the episode where every character is ruined. From making Cersei a statue, or Varys and Tyrion idiots, or how about Jaime throwing away 8 seasons of character development in one line?
Tell me if your precious Renly commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women, and children burned alive, would you have done it? Would you have kept your oath then?
To be honest, I never really cared much for them. Innocent or otherwise.
And of course, Daenerys turning into a cartoon is definitely the worst one, as I made sure to point out. But there's something about watching Jon Snow wander through the streets, having no idea who he even is anymore, as innocent people are slaughtered and doing nothing to stop it, is just the hardest one to watch. I don't know if it was the millions of fans around the world rolling their eyes at the screen, or if it was Ned Stark rolling in his grave in disgust, but Jake has a moment of clarity and finally comes to his senses and tries to stop the chaos. They spent a whole season elaborating on the discipline of the Unsullied army, just to turn Grey Worm, the unsullied leader, into a genocidal madman after losing his girlfriend. Something that would never faze him in Season 4, but now in Season 8, he's the most emotional person in the fucking show. What the hell am I watching?
Look, for them to make Daenerys Targaryen go absolutely bug shit insane and just deciding burn them all after everything is already won was a goddamn disgrace. Why the fuck did we watch this thing for 8 years?
Everything this episode was sums up what the series has turned into. It's just gone to hell.
The final episode of Game of Thrones begins with Tyrion and Jake wandering through the burnt streets of King's Landing, completely traumatized by the event. It cuts to Grey Worm executing Lannister soldiers, and Jake tells him to stop.
It's over. These men are prisoners.
It is not over until the Queen's enemies are defeated.
How much more defeated do you want them to be? They're on their knees.
They are breathing.
Look around you, friend. We won.
I obey my Queen's commands, not yours.
And what are the Queen's commands?
Kill all who follow Cersei Lannister.
Easy, man. Easy. Easy.
Jake submits to Grey Worm and walks away to ask the Queen for permission, even after watching her kill children. Grey Worm ignores his request and kills them anyway, and Jake once again does nothing. He walks away and lets it happen. Where the fuck is Jon Snow? Dany, showing absolutely no remorse for what she did, with an army that somehow regenerated from the last episode, says a speech that basically amounts to, I'm going to kill everybody because I'm crazy because Dan and Dave said so. They turned the Mother of Dragons and Breaker of Chains into a cartoon villain in one fucking episode. She isn't even a character at this point. Tyrion, who has fought so hard to keep his life throughout this whole series, somehow turns into Ned Stark, throwing away the Hand of the King badge just like he did. Except he's doing it in front of her entire army, which makes no sense unless he wants to be killed. And instead of having him killed, Dany locks him up because the plot will just not allow this man to die. She gives Jon the dirtiest look I've ever seen and then storms off. And we are then forced to absolutely suffer through an endless scene where Tyrion has to convince Jake that Dany is evil, even after everything he's seen. And even after saying he won't do it, he still desperately tries to defend her, like a whiny little bitch who can't see the truth.
Yes, you left her no choice.
The moment the gates fell, the battle was over.
She saw her friend beheaded. She saw her dragon shot out of the sky.
And she burned down a city for it.
It's easy to judge when you're standing far from the battlefield.
You are the shield that guards the realms of men. You've always tried to do the right thing, no matter the cost.
Tyrion has to convince this fool to do something that the real Jon Snow would have done immediately. And then of course he starts crying.
My queen, I'm gonna have to kill my queen. And then Tyrion has to talk him into it. Jon goes and visits him and starts to cry. He cries half the episode. My queen.
Stop crying, you're the fucking king, get your ass up, please.
Do you think I'm the lost man shall execute? Who is more dangerous than the rightful heir to the Iron Throne?
That's her decision. She is the queen.
Jake is fully ready to leave Tyrion to die like everybody else. Until Tyrion mentions what's the likelihood of his sisters bending the knee. And Jake nearly shits himself with anxiety. Look at him. And then he says,
My sisters will be loyal to the throne.
Why do you think Sansa told me the truth about you? Because she doesn't want Dany to be queen.
She doesn't get to choose.
No. But you do.
Jon leaves the cell to go and see Daenerys, and we get one of the final great visuals of the show. Drogon rises from the fallen ashes of King's Landing like a mythical bouncer to check Jon's ID before he can get in. And as always, the cinematography is incredible. It's just a crying fucking shame that it's bogged down by this lazy writing. We see Jake finally confront Dany, who has no remorse for what she did, claiming she's trying to build a new world.
Have you been down there? Have you seen children, little children burned?
I tried to make peace with Cersei. She used their innocence as a weapon against me. We can't hide behind small mercies. The world we need won't be built by men loyal to the world we have.
The world we need is a world of mercy. It has to be.
And it will be. It's not easy to see something that's never been before. A good world.
How do you know? How do you know it'll be good?
Because I know what is good.
What about everyone else? All the other people who think they know what's good.
They don't get to choose. Be with me. Build the new world with me. This is our reason. It has been from the beginning, since you were a little boy with a bastard's name. And I was a little girl who couldn't count to 20.
This show used to have articulate, spine-tingling dialogue. Now it sounds like two children having a conversation in preschool. This is so painful. She pleads with him to be with her, build a new world with her. Almost as if she's forgotten the arrogant look she gave him like 20 minutes ago. Or the fact that she almost killed his sister and his men. Or the fact that they're related. None of these things get discussed. It's a complete joke. They waste all the drama they built up for years. And then Jake decides to give us one more for the road.
You are my queen. Now and always.
No final words. No answers. Absolutely nothing. Daenerys deserves so much better than this. And then Drogon, in a scene that we will never truly get any answers for, burns the throne to the ground and then flies away with Daenerys' corpse, never to be seen again. Just another case of them shoving in something that makes no sense just for a cool visual. And now, even though killing Daenerys would technically make him the last Targaryen, even though it would make him the leader of the Dothraki, even though it would reaffirm his position as king in the north, even though he is the heir to the Iron Throne by blood, instead of getting any scenes that address these things, we cut straight to Tyrion in a cell, with a big-ass spear implying a time skip. We don't get to see what happened in the direct aftermath of her death, just like the Night King. They decided to cut it and rush to something else. Tyrion is escorted out to a meeting where all the lords of Westeros have been assembled. We find out that Jake has been taken prisoner. Davos pleads with Grey Worm for peace, offering him lands, but is denied and he says he won't let him free. What the fuck does Grey Worm want, and why didn't he kill him in the first place? Grey Worm snaps at Tyrion for trying to comment, and then he proceeds to literally let him give a speech and address the lords of Westeros, telling them to pick a king. And then Tyrion Lannister, who has given so many passionate speeches throughout the series, shits all over himself in his final scene, telling us that it's stories that unite people.
Stories. There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. Nothing can stop it. No enemy can defeat it. And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
I don't know, man. What about that Jon guy? You know that guy? The guy who united the wildlings? That dude who came back from the dead and fought with a giant, and killed 2 White Walkers, and he rode a dragon twice? You know, the bastard who became king? How about that guy?
But I ask you now, if we choose you, will you wear the crown? Will you lead the 7 kingdoms to the best of your abilities from this day until your last day?
Why do you think I came all this way?
You fuck. Oh my god. You fucking... What the fuck? Sam, Bran, Arya, Sansa, and anyone else who received Varys' letters all know Jon Snow is the heir to the Iron Throne, and nobody even mentions it. The biggest reveal in this entire series amounted to nothing. Jon killed Daenerys and saved all of their lives, yet nobody points that out and act like it's treason and they can't help him. How does this make any sense whatsoever? Sam, who is his best friend, who wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for Jon, the same man who not 2 episodes ago decided to name his child after him, doesn't even mention him or fight for his case, even though Sam is the same person who fought for Jon and got him elected as Lord Commander in the first place. I refuse to believe he would sit there and be silent. This is the shit I'm talking about when I claim almost every character was damaged or had their brains removed, just so Dan and Dave can rush to this retarded ending. All of the lords of Westeros who don't even know Bran agree to elect him as king. And Sansa, this selfish asshole who feels no way whatsoever about ditching Jon and taking his place, says the North has been through too much and they can't kneel, and they will be their own kingdom. And all of the other fools agree to this, rather than asking for the same thing. Dorne and the fucking Iron Islands agree to serve under Bran, but Sansa, his fucking sister, doesn't. The levels of stupidity this scene reaches is just staggering. They have completely given up on writing the show. Everyone just nods yes and agrees because they're no longer characters with their own wants and needs. So where does this leave Jon? Other than completely abandoned, betrayed by all his family and friends, after being forced to kill the woman he loved to save them all, after a life of honor and sacrifice, where does he go from here?
And then, of course, last season when we find out the true heritage of Jon Snow, he's actually got claim to the throne. He is by blood the rightful heir to the throne. This is the moment. This is the moment. and nothing. Poof. There it goes. Nothing happened.
Giving you to the Unsullied would start a war. Letting you walk free would start a war. So our new king has chosen to send you to the Night's Watch.
Dragon! What the hell are you? No! No! No!
You have got to be fucking kidding me. After everything he has done, they're gonna ship him back to where he started. This is the biggest slap in the face to a character I could have possibly imagined. Anyone who was invested in his journey, spit in their face. The Night's Watch shouldn't even exist as the White Walkers are dead and the Wildlings are allies. This makes no sense. Even Jake is confused.
There's still Night's Watch.
Who gives a fuck what Grey Worm wants? This man is your king. You pleaded with him to kill Daenerys, claiming he was the only one. He was the one who could make the choice. And now you're sending him back to the wall. You used him to do the deed, and now you're treating him like a worthless rat. What the fuck are his sisters doing about this?
The world will always need a home for bastards and broken men. You shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children. The Unsullied wanted your head, of course, but Grey Worm has accepted the justice of a life sentence. Sansa and Arya wanted you freed, but they understand our new king needs to make peace.
Wow. Just wow. And instead of being outraged at his life and legacy being thrown in the dirt, Jake literally asks,
Was it right? What I did?
Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. All right. You think you can do this to me? I'm the man up in this piece. You'll never see the light of who the fuck you think you fucking with. I run shit here. You just live here.
He doesn't fight for his freedom. He doesn't mention his birthright. He sits there and does nothing like he's done this entire season. Jon Snow has been completely destroyed. We see him arrive at Castle Black and lock eyes with Tormund. No words or greetings needed. Their face tells the whole story. And in a scene that honestly looks like it was shoved in to appease the fan base, Jon finally pet his doggo. So I'll give them that. Unfortunately, this is followed by him heading north beyond the wall with the wildlings, even though the very reason he used to convince them to come south was that there is better land south of the wall. Yet they ignore all that and they all march north. What the fuck are you doing? Where the fuck are you going?
Jake! Hey! Jake! Jay!
After almost a decade of watching this show, I never would have imagined it would end with me yelling at the screen in utter confusion. And with that, the massacre that was Season 8 of Game of Thrones comes to an end, and this series is left in pieces.
Have you shot your final scenes yet, and are you happy with how things ended?
Yeah.
She didn't say yes. You didn't say yes.
Best season ever!
It's the best.
Without telling us anything, because I know you can't, are you all happy with the way with the outcome of the show? Personally, or just
I think with the show.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
Disappointing?
No, epic. I don't know.
Epic.
One of those ones.
It's terrifying down there. We're in a crypt. Nobody thought of that. He's bringing all the dead people back to life, and they put the women and children in a crypt with all the dead people. So, rah. Tyrion is smart, but I guess not that smart.
I do just want to start by saying I know we're following the Game of Thrones panel, which is a fucking nightmare, just objectively. I also know that their showrunners didn't show up because they didn't want to answer questions about the show. So I just want to say that I am not one of the creators of Game of Thrones, but I am the creator of other TV shows. So feel free to ask me any Game of Thrones questions you guys have throughout the night. I'm not an expert. I didn't read the books, but I watched the show, so I can give you my insights and thoughts just as to how they pulled it off.
What series finale is going to be more satisfying, Preacher or Game of Thrones?
I think, hopefully, I won't be, I'm here at least, so I think that's a good sign. I'm willing to show my face.
The damage done to this show is unprecedented. It's erased it from pop culture like it never existed. Nobody talks about it. Nobody hums the theme song anymore. It's become like a dead relative, a subject too sensitive to talk about. This is a story that meant something to millions of people, and the audience has been completely betrayed. Can you imagine how Kit Harington, the actor who plays Jon Snow, felt watching a character that literally changed his life, found him his wife, turn into this in one season? The news of him checking into rehab shortly after the series ended came as no surprise to me, as I would hit the bottle too if I was handed this insulting script. Dan and Dave gave up on writing this show. They rushed to a nonsensical ending because they just didn't care. They crammed 3 seasons worth of content into 6 episodes. No amount of music or visuals can hide how horrendous the writing is, to the point where we have people flying planes and banners asking for them to rewrite Season 8. We have a huge petition to rewrite Season 8 with competent writers. We have Dan and Dave in hiding, never coming out to address the backlash, and will forever be remembered as Dumb and Dumber, the 2 idiots who ruined Game of Thrones. Millions of people were waiting for a logical payoff to their investment, and they just didn't care. Thanks to this approach, Game of Thrones will go down as the worst ending in the history of television. When you add up all the characters that were wasted, humiliated, used, and completely obliterated, on top of the story essentially being rendered meaningless, there's nothing that can top this when it comes to bad endings.
Oh, my sweet summer child, what do you know about fear? Fear is for the winter, when the snows fall 100 feet deep. Fear is for the long night, when the sun hides for years, and children are born and live and die, all in darkness. That is the time for fear, my little lord, when the White Walkers move through the woods. Thousands of years ago, there came a night that lasted a generation. Kings froze to death in their castles, same as the shepherds in their huts. And women smothered their babies rather than see them starve, and wept and felt the tears freeze on their cheeks. So is this the sort of story that you like? In that darkness, the White Walkers came for the first time. They swept through cities and kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders, big as hounds.
Wow, way to fuck old Nan's legacy. I guess she was just talking shit, because I swear it snowed for like 1 day. This was an absolute disaster. A complete desecration of a character that deserves so much more. Fuck you, Dan and Dave. You pathetic oathbreakers for betraying your audience. Biting off more than you can chew and not having the humility to move on and let passionate writers take over after you completely lost interest. This is now your legacy. Stay the fuck away from any pen or keyboard and live out the rest of your days in shame. Fuck you.
Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, Maisie Williams explained that she didn't know it was her character Arya Stark who was going to kill the Night King until the table read. Also, because she was in the dark about it until then, everyone acted weird toward her. However, when she finally read it for the first time, she was conflicted. It was so unbelievably exciting, Williams told Entertainment Weekly, but I immediately thought that everybody would hate it, that Arya doesn't deserve it. The hardest thing in any series is when you build up a villain that's so impossible to defeat and then you defeat them. It has to be intelligently done because otherwise people are like, well, the villain couldn't have been that bad when some 45-kilogram girl comes in and stabs him. You gotta make it cool. And then I told my boyfriend and he was like, should be Jon though, really, shouldn't it?
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great. I'm talking about the George Lucas Star Wars. This is the next generation of Star Wars, so I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker.
Takes my eye.